Thank you for joining us today. I had two or three songs all together on my screen. Apologies for that. Thank you for tuning in. I will try to go to the next slide if I manage to. There you go. Welcome to our training today. Today we're going to talk about Teams for EDU for schools. But before doing that, I just want to show you what's on the screen and who we are and what we do. So, first of all, on your screen, on the top right-hand corner, you should have some icons. One of them is the leave button. So in case, should you see the screen a little bit blurred or you have some audio issues, it could be from our side, of course, because we're working from home, so it could be a connection issue. But please just let us know in the chat. But try also to leave the event and join as soon as you can from another browser maybe. The second icon is the Q&A icon, and it's two bubbles with a question mark icon that allows you to open the Q&A or the chat box. You should have already a chat on the right hand side of your screen. If you don't have it, just click on the link on the icon here. And you should see a chat where you can interact with the moderator. We're going to introduce the moderator of today in a few, but you can decide as well to start or ask any question by using your name, surname, your nickname, or maybe join or tick the box to send messages as anonymous. On the top right hand corner as well, or sometimes you actually have it on the navigation panel here, you have the settings option or cogwheel icon that allows you to switch on and off the subtitles or translation, and you can also change the format of these subtitles, closed captions, let's call them closed captions. You can change the size, the color, and the transparency. Last but not least is the playback speed. This is a function that allows you to go a little bit slower or a little bit faster than the training itself. So if you think we are talking too fast or too slowly, please use the playback speed so that you can change the speed as you wish. Last but not least here, we also have an icon to play and pause the event. So if you want to go back a little bit and watch some of the functions that we covered again and again, you can do it as many times as you want during this hour. You can also pause it for a few minutes, few seconds, few hours as you want. If you need to grab a coffee or a tea, open the door to the postman, whatever you wish. So these are the trainers of today. My name is Sylvia and I have Ali with me. We are both trainers at the Microsoft Experience Center. And just before I introduce Ali, I just want to remind you that we are focusing on EDU today, and we want to make sure that you know we do have an EDU team of experts that can support you for anything you may need. I'm pretty sure my colleague has shared some information with you in the Q&A, or is going to do it very, very soon. I can't see the Q&A at the moment, but I'm quite confident with that, and just want to let you know again, we have some people who could help you in terms of hardware, software, or any support or any question you may need that can help your organization, your school, or anything EDU or business related. But I'm just going to introduce Ali to you all. Ali, welcome to our training. Thank you for being here as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Sylvia. I'm really looking forward to this session here. I can see we've already got some amazing interactions within the Q&A. And just so you know, this is going to be a 1-hour session covering Teams for EDU. But as Sylvia has mentioned, if you require further training on Teams for Education, we do have a dedicated education team in store that can help you out with consultations and trainings. Let us know in the Q&A and we'll be more than happy to pass your details over to them and let them know of your interest. But back over to you, Sylvia. We have questions coming in already, so I'll check back in with you a little bit later on.
That's great. Yeah, make sure to pause every 10-15 minutes so that we can cover everything and all the questions that we have in the Q&A. In the meanwhile, this is what we're going to talk about today. It's Microsoft Teams for Education. I really, really love it. I'm a student, actually, and I have both insights from teachers and students. So let me know any question you might have. And we are having also certifications, Ali and I, regarding MIE, so anything education, or anyway, we are experts as well on education. So ask out. So this is the agenda of today. We're going to talk about Teams for education in general, so a quick introduction, how to create teams for classes, staff, POC, and more, how to collaborate and connect with class notebook and Teams meetings. We're going to talk about assignments and gradebooks. Did you know we have a feature that we can use to assign homeworks, for example, and grade them as well, all in the same platform, Teams. And, well, it's saying Q&A, closing, and more resources. Well, we're going to share resources throughout the whole hour. But just to let you know, the Q&A will be open from the beginning to the end. So please ask all the questions that you have. Right, so the first thing that I want to show you is actually the impact of Teams. So this is from 2018, and is already a huge increase. So you can see that a pilot of Microsoft Teams in Australia is showing that Microsoft Teams for Education increased from 65% to 85% in use in schools. And we can see also some big numbers in the outcomes. We can see that 800% of increase in engagement against the previous terms. So if we are using, for example, they used Teams in a term, and compared to the previous terms at university in this case, there was an increase, 800% of increase in engagement. Also, the exam pass rate increased from, as we said, from 65 to 85, and 100% of the students agreed that they felt part of the learning community. So everyone felt included in this, let's say, program that they decided to start. So, and as well, being an international student, I can tell you that sometimes technologies in general, especially if you have a computer with a different language or classes in different languages, it can be a little bit challenging. So you can see as well that even international students, so where their first language is not English, for example, talking about this country, are going to be more engaged with Microsoft Teams. So talking about Microsoft Teams for education, we can't forget to talk about collaboration in classrooms, in groups, individual work. They can use different technologies through or within Teams. We can use it to connect educators, and we'll see how to do that. We have different teams that we can use within the Teams platform environment. We can come together in a team. It could be students group, clubs, activities, planning events, projects, different kind of teams, and we can increase staff communication, especially through staff teams and staff notebooks. So talking about staff and POC and classes, this first thing that we need to know is actually how we are going to divide these teams, how we're going to structure our Teams for education. So we're going to see when we pass to the demonstration how Teams is organized. But one of the main features of the platform Teams is actually a feature that is called actually Teams, and it's divided in which are groups. You can assign the members of these groups, and within these groups you can also divide the workload in channels. So you have different teams that you can create. It could be different classes, different after-school activities, etc. And for each of them, you can also structure it in different channels or subfolders. This will make sense by the end of the workshop today. But when we talk about these teams or groups, we are also able in Teams for Education to divide them by environment. So in Teams for Business, for example, we have different teams. If there's anyone who's familiar with Teams for Business or the normal teams that we use, that we can use even for private use, we can create a team or a group of people. We can add members, but we don't usually divide between, I don't know, by importance or by the different members of the team, according to the different members of the team. Here in the Teams for EDU environment, we recognize that teams might work in different ways according to the members of that team. So we can create classes, we can create teams for PLC, so professional learning community, we can create teams for staff, and we can create any other teams like a generic one. That's the one that you find in Teams for Business as well. So students and staff collaborate in interest group and clubs. So both of them, both educators, staff, and students will have the same kind of access in this other team. Okay, so what I want to know from you in the workshop is actually who you are and what you do or why you're here today. If you're educators, or maybe you're students, or university students, or secondary school students, maybe your parents, or maybe you're just staff member and you just want to get to know how Teams for EDU works and if it's worth it to use it at school. Well, I can tell you, yes, it is worth it. I don't use Teams for Education at my university, and I miss it so much. So because it's so useful. I'm gonna ask Ali in a second what the answers are in the Q&A. Another good feature and important feature that is included and embedded in Teams for Education is OneNote. And you would say, I mean, whoever is familiar with Teams in general, you would say, well, but I can use OneNote anyway. I can use it as an application. I can also use it inside Teams, add it as a tab, right? But actually, OneNote class notebook is a specific OneNote notebook that will divide, as you can see in the picture and as you can see here, already in sections. They are already divided for you, and they are divided by access again. So you will have sections for student notebooks. So each student will have its own their own section where they can talk to or collaborate with the teacher or ask the teacher privately what if they did a good job or not, or a preview of their homework and things like that. Then we've got a content library, which is the place where the teachers will upload, for example, assignments or, I don't know, announcements, and it's where the teachers can read and edit, but the students will also just read only. Okay, so teachers can edit and the students can read only. It's just for communication, right? One-way communication, let's call it like that. And then we've got the collaboration space, which is open to everyone. All the students, all the teachers can edit, can delete, can collaborate, and can access that area, or let's call it section. So really important OneNote for EDU. Last but not least, in terms of EDU, it's the assignments and gradebook area, which allow us to assign to one or more students of the same class or different classrooms, or let's say different groups, assignments. Okay, so these assignments can be a document. You upload a document and you want the students to fill it up. It could be quizzes, it could be forms, it could be any kind of assignment. And even here, you can use third-party or first-party resources. Again, it could be a document from Word that they need to fill out, a PowerPoint presentation that they need to upload for a project, or it can be just a quiz to test their knowledge on the math class that we had last week. And then, of course, you assign a homework or anything, a task, let's say, where you also have the chance to give grades and feedback. So, and it's and you can give personal feedback to each of the students, right? Another thing very important, especially now that we're working from home, is turn thin. Turn thin, probably we are familiar with turn thin if we are educators. It's an application or a software for plagiarism. So if you're interested in turn thin, you can use turn thin within Teams. I'm just going to stop here 1 second, and I'm going to leave it to Ali to ask some questions or answer to some questions publicly. Back to you, Ali.
Hey Sylvia, thank you so much. That was perfectly timed. We do have quite a few questions coming in, and as your knowledge of Teams for EDU is quite comprehensive, I think it'd be really beneficial for us to maybe answer some of these questions as they come along. How do you feel about that?
That's perfect. Let's do that. Ready. I'm ready.
Perfect. So the first question we have is from Karen, who says, will you be able to share with us how we can share video, photos, and sound in Teams, please? So I think that's a great question, and also one that's very easy to showcase.
Yes, sure. We can see it later on. So I guess Karen means in actual meetings how to share the audio and video, but if she means actual videos and audios in within Teams, I can show you 2 different ways on how to do it. You can do it in chats or channels, for example, but you can also do it as an assignment, for example, or you can do it directly in the class notebook I was talking about, because that's a digital class notebook, and you can add not just text, or you can draw on it if you have a touchscreen device, but you can also insert media document. So it could be audio, video. They can record a video and upload it into your OneNote. So there's so many ways to upload media within, or documents within Teams, and we're going to see it later on. So yes, I'm gonna note it, and we will cover that later on. So back to you, Ali. Do we have any other question there?
Oh, we have quite a few questions, yeah. We've got another question from Steve, who's asking if there's any other way for schools who are arranging meetings with parents and carers to hide attendees instead of just through the online version of Outlook, but in the Teams calendar or application. If not, is Microsoft working to modify Teams?
That's a very great question. So no, if you want to send invites privately, you can do that through Outlook, because you have the chance to give the same invite to different people, right, privately. And I guess you know that that's possible already because you mentioned it. However, this is not possible through Teams, so you cannot cover that, you cannot hide that, unfortunately. So that's a very good feedback, and I'm pretty sure I can give this feedback to the EDU team later on, so I will note that up as well. But no, at the moment there isn't any feature that can do that.
Perfect. Thank you, Sylvia. I did suggest the help feature where you can provide some feedback to Microsoft and suggest the feature to them. I think this is a great piece of feedback, and definitely submit that, because all of these suggestions are read and taken into consideration when Teams is updated with new features and improvements as well. Now, I know we're going to demonstrate a lot of this stuff, Sylvia, so instead of asking questions, I'm just going to give you some things that our attendees are interested in seeing, and maybe you can note them down as bullet points, and then we can cover them when we go into our demonstration a little bit later on. So we had a question around breakout rooms in a Teams meeting and how that would work.
Right. Okay. There's an hour. There is 1 hour of training itself, because breakout rooms is a very good feature. I can show you. Let's say a shortcut. Let's call it like that. So an example of what it would look like. But actually, breakout rooms is a new feature of Teams, and on the as Ali mentioned for someone else, on the left, bottom left-hand side of your screen, you should have a help button or a guide button where you can type by topic, and one of them is breakout rooms. I can show you quickly how this works differently, because you have an explanation of breakout rooms in the guide that is included in Teams. Just an example of how it works, but breakout rooms is awesome. It's amazing. So I will show you later on what it looks like. I don't know if we want to carry on with the presentation, Ali. I leave you with all those questions in the background, and I'll ask you later on if you have any other amazing question for me.
That sounds like a great idea, Sylvia.
Perfect. Let's carry on. So another thing, talking about meetings, is actually connect with Teams meetings. And apparently some of you have already decided how to, they have already, used a Teams meeting before. And that's probably something that we have to use now, yes, because we are all at home for another couple of weeks at least. So how we can organize Teams meeting for different reasons. We can organize Teams meetings to with the parents, as someone mentioned. We can organize Teams meeting with the staff members. We can organize meetings with just to record ourselves. This is something that nobody ever used. We can record ourselves, and for example, we want to I don't know, record a video of ourselves explaining how something works. Well, we can do that as well. So we don't need someone else to record a meeting, for example. And as you can see here, you can have different views of the Teams meeting. We have together mode, really funny. We use it at Microsoft as well when we want to play with our colleagues a little bit. Very good in the school environment. You can see that everyone looks like in a room or auditorium here. You have different choices here. You can change the background blur. Got confused there. And you can share content. So you can share PowerPoint, you can share a file, you can share your screen, and you can also share a nice whiteboard. Last but not least is the meeting options. Really important, because if we are on a meeting or a virtual class with our students, for example, and probably students are starting to click on all the buttons on the screen, we might want to change some options there. I mean, we might want to set ourselves as presenters, for example, and leave the other ones as attendees. And this will give you, let's say, kind of an extra power on the attendees or the members of that call, because you will be able, for example, to share your screen while the other attendees will not be able to. You can maybe select some people who will be presenting a PowerPoint or their own whiteboard that we can see here, and leave the other attendees as participants, so they're not playing too much with the screen. I mean, there's so many options there. Very important for education. I left it as one of the last slides, but to be honest, this should be the first one, even before the introduction of the Teams trainers, because accessibility is a must now everywhere, especially now that we work from home, but we are talking about education. So we want to be able to use all those learning tools, which are immersive reader, inline translation, live captions in meetings, accessibility checker, inclusive math, transcript generation. I mean, there are so many. Do you have at least, or have you ever tried at least any of them? I can tell you my favorite there is probably, I've already given you some hints because I'm Italian. You could tell by my accent probably, and you can see that here there's an inline translation. So that's my favorite. But to be honest, inclusive math is also a favorite, because I wish I had it when I was at primary or secondary school, because I was so bad at let's say drawing graphs, and actually my computer or my OneNote, talking about OneNote, is doing it for me. So it's helping so much. The most famous here is probably Immersive Reader. We're going to see Immersive Reader because it's the most famous, but have a look at all the other learning tools that we have within or embedded in Teams. Talking about accessibility, we want to be accessible from any point of view. Desktop, of course, we have the mobile version, we have also the web version. Maybe we're not using our device, we're using the device of our mom or our dad or our educator or from the school. So We want to be able to access online as well, as we do for all the other Office 365 applications. We want to use different systems. It could be Android, it could be Apple, for example. Okay, so iPhone, iOS, called iOS, and it can be in a computer, so in a desktop. It could be an iPad or maybe a tablet that uses Android, and we want to be able to use more than two different web browsers. So these are the favorite ones from Microsoft, I would say, but you can use any that you like. So before passing to the demo, I usually don't say this, but let's take a picture of this if you're interested, because we have all these pages available which are regarding the IT stuff. We have technical docs, so how we use docs, how we set up the admin side of Teams. So this is more for educators or staff or IT members. We can check adx.org where you have self-paced Teams course by Microsoft, but also education.microsoft.com, which is amazing, or even more than amazing. And you can find any kind of course. I took some of as well, because you can see all the integration of applications, for example, that you can embed in Teams, such as the one that I mentioned before, TurnTeam. Okay. Last but not least, mentioned twice already today, is a help button here, and this button allows you to browse through topics. So again, we talked about breakout rooms before, but you can check what's coming next as well. You can share an idea or report a problem. So this is the feedback side that Ali was talking about. So please use these features or these resources 100%. Talking about, this is one of the, let's say, boring slides, right? So this is about the settings, the tools, the apps, and the features available to you. You can also add applications. For example, Flipgrid, Kahoot. Do you know what they are? They are super cool applications that you can use for education to, let's say, motivate and stimulate your students, or use them alternatively to the 1 hour class, virtual class. You can use, you can sync data through School Data Sync. So these are all softwares available for education. You can create live events with all the students of your school or university. You can use education analytics for your school to see what kind of data, so if actually teams and channels are used as they should. And these are an LSM integration. You can turn basically features on and off to replace or augment your LMS. But I'm leaving it again. Well, I left a planner here, but we have a planner application and tasks for to-do list applications that help us organizing the other staff members and ourselves in a collaboration, in a collaborative way. But before leaving it to the demo here and leaving it 1 second to Alex, see if there's any other question, I just want to show you these 3 icons here. First one, notifications, because we're going to pass to the demonstration in a second. So remember that every time that you have a notification, you will have a red dot on the top right hand corner. So if you have a chat that hasn't been opened, channel that hasn't been checked, or someone shares something with you, all the notifications in the activity center or anything new within your platform is going to be having this red dot. Then we're using the at mention, the at symbol to mention people. So every time I want to mention someone or catch the attention of a person, a team, a channel, I'm going to use the at mention. So this symbol that will basically notify my students, for example, or my team members that something is happening within a chat, or let's say that within the Teams environment. And then let's talk 1 second about channels, because before I talked about Teams, channels, someone got confused maybe. So In the Teams function that we're going to open in a second, we will see the teams that can be PLC teams, staff teams, classroom teams, and adult teams. So what we saw before, we actually can divide them in channels or subfolders. And you can see here that a channel can have, each channel can have conversations, files, notes, tabs, connectors. The other channels can have conversations, files, notes, tabs, connection. I mean, you have a team and you can divide it in channels. Channels can be different modules. Channels can be different classes. Channels can be different weeks of work. You can divide it as you wish. But before leaving, or actually while I am leaving this presentation and passing to the EDU environment, I'm just going to leave it to Ali for any question the public might have. Back to you, Ali.
Thank you, Sylvia. So what I've been doing is I've been answering questions within our question and answer panel as best as I can. So I'll read some of these out and the answer that I've put as well. And then Sylvia, you can add anything on that you feel is appropriate too. We do have a few questions, however, I feel would be best served by responding through a demonstration. So I'll give you an example of one of these questions. We have Tony who's saying we had issues with anonymous users connecting to our classes. Is there a way around this? Now there absolutely is. It's one of the best features of Microsoft Teams is that you can set, once you have scheduled a meeting with it through your calendar within Microsoft Teams, you can then go back to that meeting and click on the meetings options tab, and you can set various controls and restrictions within your meeting to ensure, first of all, no one can enter the meeting that you don't want to. You can also ensure students cannot unmute unless you give them the ability to do so. And genuinely, this will allow you to keep a controlled environment whilst you are delivering your lesson. And Sylvia is going to give us an amazing demonstration of Teams and how you can do this as well, because it genuinely is a huge difference maker, honestly. We had another question which says, is it possible to have customized channels that fall under the category of a PLC and staff category in one team? You absolutely can have a PLC team and a staff team as well. So channels are basically, if you think of a team as a house and then your channels as the rooms within your house, once you create a team, you will then create a channel. Now, if you want to have a specific type of team, like a team for a professional learning community, you can absolutely set that parameter when you create your team, and you can definitely create one team for your PLC and then one team for your staff as well. That is entirely possible. Sylvia, do you want me to read out some more questions that we have? I've given some answers to 2 of these already.
Yes, you can do one more maybe, and then I'm starting with the demo.
Okay. Excellent. So we also have another user saying, I'm very new to this, but trying to work out how to share a document if it is saved in our own Teams class. For some reason, it won't share. So we can also go through with you how you can share files and make them easily accessible throughout your entire Teams. Sylvia, back over to you, because I know you're itching to get this demonstration started.
All right, thank you. So now I am finally connected to my Teams EDU account. As we said, we might have the application. It could be a desktop app or a mobile app. However, you can also log in through the web browser. And this is what I'm doing today. What are the differences? The web version looks a little bit older. No, absolutely not. It's exactly the same. So don't you worry. It's just for anyone who doesn't have access to the app version. You can go to office.com. And then use Teams. You can find Teams on the left-hand side here with all the rest of the application. If you can't see it, you can click on this icon here that says All Apps, and you will have all the list of applications. You might have less or more or less than myself at the moment, but these are all the apps included in my license, for example. So we click on Teams. I've already done that, and at the moment I'm in the Teams environment. So first thing that I want to remind you is that on the top right hand corner, today I'm Cara Coleman, actually Miss Cara Coleman, so I'm a teacher, And you can see that I have the chance to download the desktop app or the mobile app at any point, but I can also change the settings. So if there's something that you want to change, for example, still talking about accessibility, I can change the background or the theme, or I can go high contrast, for example, or I can choose different layouts of my themes. And I chose to create, but we can see the list in a second as well. And change the language. But you can also change notifications based on the area you want to change. We have a search bar on top, and we have the notification centers on the left-hand side corner. So it's the first one of the menu. Just as a reminder, Teams for Education, but Teams in general doesn't have a home page. It doesn't for a specific reason, which is there's no most important features. There isn't a most important features, and everything is accessible from the menu on the left hand side. Before we talked about notifications, and we can see that here we have some notifications. It means that there's something new in the activity center, meaning the notification center, and you can see that Douglas replied to one of my posts in the channels. Talking about the chat, this is very important. It's one of the ways to have conversations with my students. I'm not going to focus much on this, but in a nutshell, what the chats are private conversation with students, between students, or with anyone that you want in your environment, in your school. Just a note here, in some cases, if you don't have changed this if you haven't changed this in the admin center of your Teams environment, you might be not able to send messages to students, or maybe students cannot send messages to each other, just for maybe a security point of view, privacy point of view, or just to avoid to have students chatting about maybe games in our Teams environment. This depends on the organization. The chats are organized all in a chronological order on the left-hand side, as you can see here, and I can create a one-to-one chats, or so between me and my colleague, for example, or group chats, for example, the art class chat. How do I do that? I click on the box here, and I start selecting, for example, I have Douglas, I have Alex, and I have my colleague Ken. Once I've done, I've got already someone there, so I'm just going to add someone else. I'm going to add Alan and Alfonso here. And there you go. Once I've decided, I can click on the arrow and change. Maybe it's not a normal chat between, actually, let's see it. If I click on that box here, I can see that now I have a new chat in a draft because I haven't written anything. Let's say, hey guys, okay? With Alex, Alfonso, and so on, but I can also rename it based on the topic. So I can click on the edit icon there and say, for example, science group work, okay? And I can save it. At any point from the chat, I can call or video call the students or the members of that chat, and I can use all the features underneath the chat box. You might have more or you might have less features than I have at the moment. But as someone asked how to collaborate on a file or upload a file, the best way is to click on the icon of the attachment, and you can upload a file from your OneDrive, so your cloud or your computer. Let's do it from my OneDrive, for example. I can select any document. I'm just gonna click on, I don't know, document. It's actually called document. I can add some messages, call out, or maybe work group number 1, and I can send it. You will be also able to click on the file, not just you, but all the members of the chat, and start editing all together. And you will see the icons of the people who are actually in the file and they are editing it. And you can also leave comments. As you can see here, click on the comments icon, the bubble on top here, and you can add comments, for example, on pictures or, I don't know, the title, any part of the document. However, if you want to make this so collaborative, 100%, you can click on the conversation icon here and look what happens. You're going to see the chat that I opened before, and you can keep mentioning, for example, Douglas. We saw how to mention people. You see the name and surname of Douglas are highlighted in blue now. Please change the title, and Douglas will go there and will change the title. I can close this. Just want to show you how collaboration works. If you are on a chat with a lot of people and you can't find all the files by scrolling up and down, you can find all the files in the Files tab on top. However, what I'm going to do now is talking about Teams, and this is the grid layout. If you want to change this layout, you can click on the settings icon and go to switch view, and you can select a list view. Let's close this, and now instead of having a grid, you have all the teams on the left hand side of your screen, in the same way you have the chats. So I'm just going to focus about, as Ali mentioned before, you can see here you have different schools. I have other hidden one. I can, let's say, I can show some of them here. You can see that some of the teams, this is called Microsoft School for Everyone, okay? But you can also have the arts team. You can have different kind of teams. And how do you create a new team? You just click on join or create a team. And do you remember before you click on create a team, do you remember before we were talking about different teams and someone asked about different collaborations? Well, instead of creating a chat of 100 members of the staff, you can create a nice team for the staff members. And you can call it, I don't know, let's call it staff members of Microsoft School. I can add a description. I can make this team private or public. If it's public, everyone in the school can see it. In this case, probably as it's a staff one, I would allow just the teams that I'm going to add, the members that I'm going to add in it. So I click on private, I hit on next, and I'm going to start adding Ken. I'm going to start adding, let me see if I remember some names there in my environment. Alan, the principal. I can Arden, another teacher. I can add them. And I can decide what kind of access they have, right? If they're members or owner of the team. I'm going to put the principal as owner. And I can close it. So I just created a new team, and by default, I will always have a channel, a general channel. But by all means, you can click on the three dots here and add a channel that can be, for example, oh, sorry, there's an icon there. Add channel, and I can divide it by topics, for example, announcements. And it can be a standard channel, so everyone in the team can see it. And maybe I want to have a channel just for one-to-one, or one-to-one course with parents, for example. And I'm going to make it private in this case, so I can decide what kind of channels to have. I'm just going to add Alan again, Ken, and I don't remember who else I added, Arden, okay? So you can see you can divide your workload in a different structure. Of course, this is a staff one, so you won't be able to add students. But I can also create a class environment in the same way. And I can do class or Italian class, okay? I can click on next. And in this case, there's no choice here. So it's always public. And you can add your students here again. So Ashley, and then Douglas, and then Alex, and so on. So this is the way you create teams of different kind of teams, let's say. I'm going to close it now, and I just created an Italian class. And I can do homework, this, that. So I'm just going to put this on top because it's the most important one at the moment. And what I want to do is focusing on these tabs on top that they are not available in the chat because we have just 10 minutes left. So one of the things we can create posts which are very similar to chat messages. Messages in the chat are more similar to our WhatsApp, for example. The posts in the channels are more similar to our LinkedIn post or our Twitter post, okay? So you have a post and everyone's gonna comment. I'm gonna just write a nice test, for example. You can see that there's a reply button and we will create a thread here with all the information. But what I want to focus on is the class notebook. I can set up a new class notebook, a blank one or from an existing one if I created one before. Here we have a summary of what we can create. So teacher only section, content library, collaboration space, and student space. Here we want to choose in the student space how to organize it. For example, we want the student name, but then I want 4 or 5 or 7 different sections. For example, I want, as is an Italian class, I can say oral tests or oral practice, okay, with the students. Or I can do also, I don't know, anything that includes or dictation, okay, in Italian and so on. So I want to add all these different areas. I'm ready to create the notebook, and you can see how useful it is. It's going to be found always in the general channel of each of the teams, even in the staff one. Let's go to the staff one while this uploads. Let's go to general. We have a staff notebook, and of course it will be just for the staff members. It will be organized in a different way, so you won't have the name of the actual students, but you will have the name of the members of the staff. Let's go back to general. We have a class notebook now. The class notebook is divided, as we said, in sections. You have, the first time that you open it, you will have some instructions here. We can open the collaboration space, and the collaboration space, we can actually add more. We can add more subfolders here. For example, collaboration space. It could be, I don't know, group works. Okay. And within the group works, we can divide it in groups, for example. So group 1, and then we want to add a page for group 2, and so on. And these, I'm going to just minimize this, can be used in different ways. Someone asked about adding files, adding pictures, adding links, adding audios, adding maths. So here it's all about exploring our class notebook. So please make sure that you explore it and see how it works. The first time that you're going to open it, you will have all the instructions here. So please have a look at this. It's a very powerful one. And of course you can talk about, you have the content library where you're going to announce to your student what, here we have some example, or you can announce to the student the important information, share course reading. You can see all the examples here. We have a teachers only section, for example. And we have a section for each of the students that I added to my class. And these happen automatically. And you can see all the sections that I added before by default. Another tab is the assignments tab. And this is what is a very cool one. I can decide to create an assignment from scratch or a quiz, or get it from an existing one. So for example, let's check the assignment. I can decide to have, for example, the assignment is a short essay in Italian. Okay, I can add a category. It could be written tests, for example. Oops. Written tests. I can add some instructions, for example, read the document below, or read the instructions and upload a file, or read the instructions in the file. So now I can add resources. I can add resources from my OneDrive, my class notebook if I prepared it in advance. I can pull them from there, a new file, so I can create a file straight away from here, or a link. In this case, I'm just going to upload the same document as before. So read the document and following the instruction and complete whatever you want them to complete. You can add points and you can add rubrics. You can assign it to the whole class or different classes. As you can see, you can add even the physical class, the West College, Scotland class, etc. And you can decide if to have all the students or just some student by editing here. And you can also decide when is the due date and when is the time due, but also when this will be available for the students. For example, you prepare it today, you assign it today, but you want to make it available by Monday, you can do that. Going really fast here because there's so many features we need to cover in 7 minutes. So you can assign it very easily there. I just assigned it to the Italian class at the moment and added 2 classes. And if I go to assignments as a teacher, I can see the drafts. So something that I created but haven't assigned yet. I can assign, I can see which assignments I have assigned already and which one have been returned. Once my students have completed this, I can grade them. You see the people I have assigned this assignment to. You see the tag that I added, etc. You can see the status. In this case, it's not ended, so I want to open it and give a feedback. Unfortunately, you haven't ended it in time, so it is 0 points for you. Okay, and we can add points. In that case, we didn't decide to have points, and we can return it. We can go from a student to the other. As you can see, now there's no document for any of them, and you can see the status, and we gave a feedback as well to one of the students. And we can add a feedback straight away, or maybe it's not ended. I would just want to add a feedback and say, very bad, not handed in time, for example. Let's see if it saves. Right, it doesn't save now for some reason. And then you see that you have a list for returned, you have a feedback already, you can add another one, you can see the feedback, and so on. You can also access assignments from this tab here, but if you do it from within the Teams, you will open the assignments of that specific class or that specific team that you have created. While if you open it from the assignment, you will see all the assignments created for all the classes. You can see that here one returned it, and we can see the grades that we assigned to it, and so on, and we can see it again and again. You can see that someone uploaded a file, and I can check the file from here. I have a rubric here that I can use, and I can assign points at any point. Last but not least in the Teams is the grades, and basically everything that's been returned and signed or graded will be here. You can see here that's just a short essay, but if we go to another, let's see if I can have another class, another team, sorry, the algebra one, I saw it before, there you go. And we go to the grades, we can see the grades of all the assignments that we have given with all, it's a like kind of a Excel document, and actually you can export it in Excel as well. Last thing that I want to show you is the calendar. I'm going to create quickly a meeting for my Italian virtual class, and I'm going to add just Douglas now, just to make sure that we finish in time today. I can decide to repeat it or not. I can add some links or some personal invitations. I hit on send, and I join the class 1 second, and I'll show you what it means. But before doing that, as Ali mentioned before, you can decide to have some options. So you can set the presenters, but you can also set who is going to bypass the lobby. And to do that, you can click on edit, and you can click on meeting options here. So first you create the event, you send it to the attendees, and then you go back to it and edit it. You can decide who can bypass the lobby. In this case, just myself, because I am the teacher and I want to join first and let everyone else wait. I can decide who is a presenter or not, and we talked about that before. For example, specific people, and I want to decide that Douglas will be the one presenting today, so the other ones will not have the same access, so Douglas will be able to share his screen, for example. We can decide to allow the attendees to unmute or not, maybe not. I want to be able to control that. I want to allow or not reactions or likes and stuff like that, or GIFs, and I want to allow the meeting chat or maybe not, or just in a meeting and not before, not after, just during the meeting. I'm going to save this and I'm going to join the meetings here, the virtual class. I'm not going to focus on all the features here because that's not a training that we would have. I'm just going to join and show you the features available, camera and audio. We can share the screen. We can decide to share the desktop, so everything that's happening, you will see it. A window specifically, one of the PowerPoint that I maybe created in the past, and I also can browse. I can share the nice whiteboard that I'm going actually to show you because it's really, really cool. And we can use interactively with the members of the team. Let's see if it shows. Sometimes it doesn't. Right, it takes forever to upload. But it's a whiteboard that you can use on the screen and you can actually draw on the screen. You have features such as raise your hand. So raise your hand if you want to ask a question. Like in the school environment, you can see the chat available, so people can actually chat in there before, during, and after the call, if you allow that. Or you can see the attendees. You can call maybe the students that haven't joined yet. And you can also decide as the teacher to click on the three dots and allow the attendees to unmute or not. Manage the permissions, which is nothing but the meeting options that we saw before. Maybe you want to change the presenter. All of a sudden, and you can download the attendee lists. So everyone who attended your meeting will be listed in a nice Excel document with the time and date of the joining time, date and time, and leaving the event date and time. I'm just going to stop there. I know it's 5 o'clock, at least in the UK. I'm just going to leave it to Ali. I know I'm running a few minutes late because we're going to share some things there, but I'm going to leave it to you, Ali, if you want to share any question there.
Yeah, thank you, Sylvia. Sorry, there's a question from Hermione that says, if you choose someone else to be a presenter, can they then organize breakout rooms? I initially answered yes because I misread the question, but I just want you to know that breakout rooms are only available to the meeting organizer. So only the meeting organizer will be available to choose a breakout room option for the meeting. So apologies for that initial incorrect answer, but just know that only meeting organizers can sort out the breakout room. That's one question. We had a question regarding breakout rooms demonstrations. Our education team can help you with a demonstration on breakout rooms for your organization and for yourself. So if you could just give us your email address, I'll be more than happy to put you in touch with them and they can organize. Sylvia, I believe the breakout room sessions typically take about 45 minutes, is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be more than happy to pass you over to them and they can organize the session demonstrating breakout rooms to you. So I look forward to receiving your response. This session is not recorded. That's a question that we get quite a lot. We do, however, frequently run these trainings. Teams for EDU sessions are covered multiple times throughout the week. So I'll be more than happy to share you a link on how you can access those. I'll share that in just a moment, but you can also be put in touch with our education team who do regular demonstrations for educators as well. Any more questions? We do have a request, Sylvia, just to show, again, if we haven't already, how you can share video within a Teams meeting.
Right, so yes, I just wanted to show you, so I'm going to do it while demonstrating as well, another way to do breakout rooms, so I do both because I remembered about that question as well. So, to create breakout rooms, another way, if you don't have the function or you don't know how to use it yet, you can create private groups and you can start a conversation with each of the groups. So they need to be private and you go in there, you click on Meet and you start, you join, you probably will see me on camera. Hello everyone. You can click on Meet now and you are in a room, okay, let's call it. Then I create another group, a private one with other members of the team, and I go there, so I go into group 2 and I'm going to click on Meet. So what's going to happen, here I am again, what's going to happen is you're going to start 2 different conversations. So you are in two groups at the same time. These can be breakout rooms as well, so you can use it this way. While I'm on one of them, what I'm going to do is sharing the tray, and you to share a video, like in terms of you want to play it, you can just share your screen, and but make sure that here, I don't have it, but on top of this panel, you will have a button that says share audio. Okay, you need to share the audio. You select where the video is. It could be on your desktop, so you go to YouTube and you share your screen, or it can be in a PowerPoint, maybe embedded in a PowerPoint. So you can do that, and you can actually, I'm gonna do it. Oh, I can't do it with you, but I'm sharing the screen, so I can go to YouTube and show you how it works. Because this is how it works. I'm sharing the screen with you. I share the audio. I can go positive jazz. There you go. Some notes there. Okay. And I can share a video with you.
Grammarly does more than catch errors.
Okay, so now it's not the jazz part, but you can see that I'm sharing a video. You can share it from within your PowerPoint as well. If you want to share it as a document, you just go to the chat and you click on upload, and you select a video from OneDrive or other Teams and channels or your computer. So you can do that from there. So now I don't have it here. Let's see if I have one on my computer. I don't know if I've got one video. I will try to find one. In the meanwhile, I don't know if there's any other question, Ali.
Hey Sylvia, just give me one moment. We did have a really good question actually regarding, let me see if I can find it here. Let's see, it's in the new question section. Apologies, there's quite a few questions. Children using tablets or an iPad are unable to access OneDrive and view their class notebook. Do you have any suggestions regarding what can be done about this?
About iPads, as far as I know, Teams for Education, it can be used as a desktop app or on the web browser. In any device. Probably it doesn't depend on the device that you're using, but it depends on the limitation or restrictions that you have on from your admin center. So if you don't have any of the functions available, it's not because of the iPad, but it's because you have restrictions. So yeah, I don't know if you, I think this is the answer to this. In the meanwhile, I have just shared a video, so you can share actually your screen and share the video, or you can share a video by itself in the chat. And I'm in a breakout room, but I want to go in the group 1 breakout room. I'm gonna play and look what happened. I'm in the breakout room of the group 1, so I'm switching, sorry, from one to the other. I don't know if you have any other question there, Ali.
Thank you for asking, Sylvia. We have quite a few inquiries as to a Teams for breakout room session. So all I'll say is if you could provide me with your email address, I'll be more than happy to pass that over to the education team, who will then get in touch with you. So please feel free to share that with us. We know there's a lot of questions around breakout rooms. We'll be more than happy to get you in touch with the appropriate people who can help you with that. We did have a question. What is the difference between Teams for EDU and Google Classroom?
Do you want to answer, Ali? I'm going to do it.
I'm going to leave that to you.
That's an amazing question. There's so many softwares at the moment or applications that are used for classrooms. The main difference is that in Teams for EDU, you can do everything. Okay, so usually the applications that we use are the applications of Office 365. It could be a Word document, a PowerPoint, etc. Google Classroom just has the platform for the classroom environment, which is the same as Teams. But then if you want to use Office, you will have to pay for Google Classrooms and you need to pay for Office. So you need to pay twice. Another thing that is very important is, well, you will have the email, of course. If you need to use a planner or you need to use one of the applications included here, again, in some of there's different licenses for education, but in some of them you have so many. Look at this. This is the one that has the most features. You have so many things that you can use, and if you use Google Classroom where you need one of these softwares, you will have to get it from a third party talking outside of Microsoft organization, or you will have to pay for a Microsoft application, but it will cost you probably double because it's not included in your license. So you will pay again for Google Classroom, and then you have to get these add-ins separately, which are really, really expensive sometimes. So Staff Notebook is included. So if you don't, for example, is a collaboration space, you would have to use emails maybe, or just a classroom environment if you were using Google Classrooms. These are the main differences, but there's so many. If you want to know more, I'm happy to do it via mail. I can share my mail, but I'm pretty sure that Ali has already shared the email from the education team. They can help you to do a transaction between Google Classrooms or Teams EDU, or understand better how one or the other work. They are very, very good at that. They explained it to me, so they are probably, and I grabbed just a few information, so I'm pretty sure they know much more than I do. I don't know if there's anything else in there, Ali, that we want to answer live.
I think that's all we need to answer live. The rest of the questions we'll definitely get to within the Q&A. So we'll be here for another 3 to 4 minutes answering any remaining questions.
Perfect. So in the meanwhile, Ali, I'm just going to share these few information here. One of these is Microsoft Educator Center. Please visit my Microsoft Educator Center at the education.microsoft.com. There's so many courses about how you can use Teams, but not just Teams. You can see here that someone searched for Teams, but you can actually search for so many topics like hybrid classes, or how to integrate different platforms within Teams, how to use breakout rooms, what are the different options that I have, how much do they cost, all these add-ins, how much the licenses are, what's the best license that I need to get. Everything is in here, Educator Center. And then from us, I'm going to leave it here because it's a big thank you in general for the attendance and for joining us today. I hope this was informative for you and you learned something new. I understand it's a lot of information, and probably there were a lot of questions in the background, so thank you, Ali, for your support there. We'll make sure that all the questions are answered and we give you the right resources. But if you want to leave a feedback about this training today, please go to aka.ms/LDN feedback. So LDN for London, okay? So aka.ms LDN feedback. We collect all your feedbacks and we keep it into consideration for the next training. In case you want something more specific, for example, you want training on breakout rooms, as you all mentioned, why not? You can add it in the comments as well. I don't know if you have any final word, Ali, but for me, it's a very big thank you again for joining us today. Please have a look as well at our website, aka.ms/London workshops. We have so many workshops for education and for business and for students, coding workshops, especially these weeks, because next week's going to be half term, so why not? Have a look at that. Very cool trainings coming up next week. So back to you, Ali, if you want to close or end the event with a few words.
Yeah, I just want to thank you firstly, Sylvia, for the session. It was very, very informative. I'll be answering more questions in the Q&A, so I'll still be here. I also want to thank everyone for not only asking so many great questions, but the willingness to learn more about Teams. It's been amazing to see so many great questions, and everyone's been incredibly attentive. Everyone who's sent their contact details, interested in speaking to the education team, rest assured I've passed all of those on already. I'm sure they'll be getting in touch with you very soon. But again, thank you so much for joining us. Feel free to share your feedback. And I'm also going to share a link to our workshops. We hold plenty of Teams for Education sessions throughout the week where we train you on how you can use Teams, an overview of it, and how to access specific features. And they're available at aka.ms/LondonWorkshops. So feel free to click on that link. They're usually held by myself. Sylvia does them quite regularly as well. There's a few of our team who hold these sessions. We'd be more than happy to see you on more of those. But thank you so much for joining. Have an amazing day, and I'll be answering the rest of your questions in the Q&A. Take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.